this is my plug, okay? Since I'm not working, I started an LLC, Coach Rip Consulting. And what I'm doing, and I have 15 clients right now, is, and I'm only doing 2021s, is the recruiting process, helping them get recruited um, to whatever school they want. So I work on editing their highlight video. Everything's based on what I did for the last 5 years and how to recruit a kid, what they had to go through to get to me, sitting in an office at Ole Miss, getting practice ready, getting coaches ready, getting game plans, everything else, how much time I had to recruit. How did you get to me? And how is your video going to be presented that I wasn't going to shut you off in a minute because I got 700 other kids? So I work on that. I also have every Division I school, FCS, FBS, every school's depth chart for 2020 and who signed at 2021. I also have the Wikipedia contact for every scholarship college in the country, Division I, Division II, and NAIA. So I work with the kids in order to get there. This is my website. They would hit recruiting and they go. So there's my pitch. I appreciate you guys letting me go. And I want to show you this picture. Okay, so as you can see it right there, okay, that's kickoff coverage to me. Okay, that's defense. It was gap control. You still have leverage. You have people breaking down to make plays. He's on the 5-yard line. We have 2 guys on the 10. We've got 2 guys on the 15, 1 on the 13. We're ready to play. Okay, so that ultimately is where we would like to go. Go this way with it. Now, every what I decided to do, and so we can carry it through and open up any questions you have in dialogue as we go. For every special team, this would be a Tuesday meeting. So the scouting report, kickoff coverage on the left-hand side is what our opponent is doing. And our kids had general ideas. You know, are they a 6-man front? Are they a 5-man front? How many returners? Is there 1 deep, 1 shallow? Is there 2 deep or whatever? As you can see here, there's 2 deep returners. Their number 1 concept, double teams with an alley, and they have a middle return that they ran and the stats. And on the right-hand side is 64 deep right, 64 freak with a twist. So that is our game plan adjustment to how we were going to attack somebody. It's 64 deep left, so we're lining up on the right hash mark and kicking it over to the left-hand side. We skied it across the field, and then rain dance and something in preparing to talk to you guys. How many of you guys have guys that are going to put it in the end zone and you're not getting a return? Anybody? All right. So you're always playing defense, right? And you're facing a really good returner. You're going to hold in your nuts saying, you know, please stop him by the 25, or how is he going to get a fair catch? And we had that against, you know, the best kickoff return guys in the country. I mean, that's the way it was. So we had to come up with a couple of different concepts. Our base kickoff coverage concept is we're going to kick on the hash and we're going to be 4 into the boundary, 6 to the field. And I'll show you that in a second. We would go at times 5 to the boundary, 5 to the field. We were going to be on the hash mark. You were going to see us on the hash mark. We were a squeeze concept, and we'll get into that in detail. Freak, or whatever we called that, was the weekly game plan to describe how we were going to ruin their count system. So you all know base kickoff coverage, you're going to block the 4s, you're going to block the 3s, you're going to block the 2s, you're going to block the 1s, and then somebody's responsible for the 5s, however you're going to go. So you're going to count across. The concept is, are you going to shift before you kick to blow the count, or are you going to do it post kick? So for us, in this particular game, we were going to run a freak, which is taking the number R5, the strong 5 was going to line up as a 1, and he was going to run on the kick, and he was going to end up where he was. Okay, and then we freak with a twist as we twisted somebody inside. Sky kicks, which you have to work on. Rain dance. We had 3 level kicks. Okay, we had rain dance when they had their front six within 10 yards of the 45. Okay, so everybody squeezes it up, and then the next guy is the off returner or the fullback or the ends, and they're on the 25. Okay, so we put that over the top. We called that rain dance. Remember the show What About Polly? And they were playing on basketball, and he was like rain dance, and he threw the ball up and it hit the back of the rim and everything, backboard and everything else. Everything we did was trying to be descriptive. So now we also had the ninja, which was a kick when they put the big fat offensive or defensive lineman on the 20, and he was going to be the off returner or the lead blocker, which South Carolina did. We skied it to him, and we forced him to make a decision. Am I going to fair catch it, or am I going to let it hit the ground and going to roll? Okay, that there was enough distance between the kick returner and him to say we can bloop it to him and make him make the fair catch. Kick it where we're going to kick it in the squeeze kick, or kick it back across the field with a sky. So that was going to be our game plan every week, because we sucked, because the kicker couldn't get into the end zone, and we were using some players that couldn't play. So that's how that part of it went. Now, this is against Missouri, 64 deep left, which is really 64 deep right, but the guy that was editing the do you got anybody still use Playmaker? Eddie, you might be the older guy, and you're still young. Do you ever see Playmaker? Did you guys ever see it?
I was a big time Playmaker guy. I think some of my stencils are still made over from Playmaker.
And then all these youngsters come by with Vizio and all this other cool stuff. Well,
Playmaker was the easiest to draw anything on.
And you could fix it, and it was easy, and it was whatever. So when I had to start doing playbooks again, which was my second year at Columbia, I asked the GA to do the defensive playbook, and we went off for the summer, and I came back and we had 3 days left, and he didn't do it. We couldn't copy anything. So I went back to Playmaker, and then everything was on Playmaker and transition over. So my point is, I know this is deep right. You know this is deep right. In my haste of getting the diagram drawn and then put into PowerPoint, I didn't change it. And anybody that picked up one of Coach Rip's mistakes in a meeting got the candy bar of their choice, because I was always going to have one, and somebody was always going to get a candy bar. So I tried to play that off. So 64 deep right, actually 64 sky left. You can see how we're lined up in our base alignments. And I'm very, very particular that we are going to hit the 35-yard line just as the kicker is kicking the ball. That to me is the discipline when you watch us. So are they a well-coached team? How close to that 35-yard line are they going? I say discipline. I also know that based on how the front line reacts to us climbing them, is do we have a better shot to take a surprise kick? If they're an early bail team, we always have the surprise onside, which Ole Miss tried to pull 2 weeks ago, if you remember that, and then did it onside too. Or if we want to have the surprise, then we could do rain dance. So based on if they're hanging in there, rain dance it over the top or pop it over the top, and we get to play there. So then we come back and we got the sky kick. It's a little bit later. Okay. There's our deep spot, 31 with freak. Okay. Can you see the bottom of this? the description of the fast and the strong and what their
Yeah.
reads are? Okay.
Yep.
All right. So you can see we have a strong side and a fast side, just like we do in kickoff return, just like we did in pump block. We did it this way. Again, it's a personnel issue, a double personnel issue. One is the strong side has the least amount of space to cover. And again, we're going to squeeze it so they can be the bigger kids, better contact players, not have to be as fast or as agile. The fast side is going to be to the field. They have a longer way to run. So they're going to go that way. All of their reads and placements are going to be the same on opposite sides. So we have a flow safety and a read safety. Okay. So the S1 is our read safety. He's reading off of that number 2 is the ball, our contained player. He should be the folding in and making the play because it's closer. The flow safety is our field safety. So he's going to pull off at the 35 and he's going to go that way. Our 2 to the field is the contained player, the faster contained player. Into the boundary, he's more of that rolled up corner, maybe an outside linebacker kid that's going to play contained, but he's going to get there faster and has to have a little bit more ass to him, if that makes sense to you guys. All right. So everybody's got this problem at any level, I think, is depth of your kickoff coverage team and the people that you have available to use. So the reason we went with this system is, yes, there's a fast side and a strong side, and you're always going to carry 2 deep, but we're never going to get to a whole group of that kids. So when I put up my depth chart, and Garrett, I think I sent it to you, there's going to be a kid highlighted. So if my F2 goes down, there's no guarantee that the second team F2 is going in the game. It could very well be the strong 2 because he's the better of those players. So I'm only really carrying, 16 kids, starting 11, and then 1 for each 1 through 5. That's how that was my philosophy. Do you guys have any different opinion of that?
No, not at all. We're very similar the way that we do that.
Yeah. Play the best players. What did you guys do, Eddie?
Yeah, that's what I try to do. I agree with you. When I was at Delaware, it was the next best guy in, and I moved people where I needed personnel to go. Here we haven't really had any good players, so it's kind of been.
I feel you're
fucking
playing
robots. So if I took the strong 2, put him at the field 2, he'd be really confused. I like to get back.
We had a few of those, and the freak. If we were going to call freak or whatever we were calling, that shit was off. As soon as you had to put somebody else in the game and it was doing anything different than he normally did, we would throw that out the window. But the base reads, ones are the corners, fill corner or over the top corner. The 2s are our edge players. Our 3s are always inside the tackle and outside the guard. Okay. That's going to be, we're gap control is what we are. We're playing really 6-2 defense with 3 deep behind it. So from how we built this thing, the 4s are always going to be between the center and the guard, and the 5s are going to attack the center to their side and read them. So they're more of the 2 linebackers in the 6-2. The 4s are going to be the 2 techniques. The 3s are going to be more like the, 5 techniques, and then you got your 2s as your 9 techniques. For those of you that remember the 6-2, was probably none of you, but that's gap control. The 5s are going to be the 2 flow linebackers. And as opposed to being over the top, we penetrate them. So that's how. All right. I draw up their number 1 return, number 2 return, whatever it was. Honestly, they didn't pay attention to this. The kids never paid attention to it, but my scout team thing was done. And I'll go through the practice of how we were able, I think, to be good on kickoff coverage with a horrible kicker. And one of the ways was having this in the draw and then adapting it to Thursday's practice. So they would get that drawn up. Here's the double, the strong five and the fast five, and they're trying to run the alley on it. Anytime you got the double teams, and I'd like to hear you guys' concept in a second. Here's their middle return, how they were going to run it. And then Geronimo to us is a sky kick. How are they going to respond to when you're going to sky kick? Are they going to block man up, head up? Are they going to continue to run their return? Because we're going to have to use that, at some point during the kick. Onside versus Missouri. In our 5 years, we were 2-1 on onside kicks. So we were pretty good. We were very, very physical. And what we did, can you see that? Here's this thing. Okay. So I can see exactly what I'm talking about. All right. So that S1 and that S2 were our best football players. So the only people that we took out of the game on onside kick was the 1 and the 2. For 3 years, the S1 was A.J. Brown, the kid that's playing at the Titans, because he was a great ball player and everything else. The 2 was D.K. Metcalf. We always twisted the 1s and the 2s on our onside kick, and that's another talk, but we always twisted them because that's what Alabama did to us, and we couldn't pick it up. So we twisted it. We got one against we actually got one against Alabama, and we got one against Mississippi State. So we were in good shape there. All right. So that kind of gives us a background, right? Let me get out of this thing. You guys are kind of quiet today. What's the deal? You're working and you're not hanging out like me?
We're just trying to soak up all the knowledge, Coach.
Oh, shit.
I'm tired.
Let me go to – all right. There's a couple of things that I want to talk about, and let me see if I can move this over this way, get this over here. We only worked on fundamental technique for 2 practices in preseason camp, and that was it. That's all we did. Okay. Time-wise, didn't have it. Personnel-wise, didn't have it. By the time we got out of preseason camp, we kind of had our guys, and then we tried to go more towards specifics that we were going to do. Let me set this because I want to start out with this, and I would like to get let me just go to this first, just to show, because I don't want to get into just football and keep your attention a little bit. All right. So this is 2015. Let me go back for a second. All right. So we'll see if they make it on the takeoff. Okay. So the 31-yard line.
Coach, make sure you share your screen.
I'm sorry. Let me go up here. Let me squeeze that. So I'm not share screen.
How many screens do you have over there, Coach?
I have no idea. There's 5 up there, and I don't know why. Is it? Do you guys see this now?
Yep, we got it.
Okay. All right. So just to give you an idea of why I love kickoff coverage and how I sell it and everything else, kickoff coverage to me is we're all in 4th grade together at Ryerson School in Lincoln Park, New Jersey. And it's lunchtime, and they gave you that big red ball, and you went out onto the side and you played kill the guy with the ball. Everybody could do that. And every school that I worked at, that I coached kickoff coverage, they heard it ad nauseum that the greatest play in college football, and I was a 3-year starter at a Division II school, and I don't know, I go through it every time I talk about kickoff coverage, if I wouldn't have thrown all 33 starts away to play one game as a kickoff coverage guy in Alabama. I mean, what's better than this, right? So let me get this thing out of the way. All right, so they're running a double team. You can see it right over there. They're trying to ambush the back five. Our L4 on this is 270 pounds. He ran a 4.75. And you can see what he does. Let me go back for a second. Okay, so here he comes. And there's the lead blocker, right? Blown up. Ball's on the ground. So we started out against Alabama at Alabama with the ball on the ground. We were covering. And of course, there's a lot of excitement. Okay. Next kickoff. See the takeoff. Not bad, right? Okay, I'm going to go fast forward because I don't want to. This is too cool to let go, to just go to the side. And see if you can see it. All right, so we're running straight 46 deep left. There's our F5 and our S5. Okay, can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Look on the 17-yard line, 2 yards outside the hash mark. That's a helmet. So he comes in and he blows him up. So 2 kickoffs, 2 fumbles at Alabama with a helmet on the ground. You know what we call that? Great coaching. That's what I take all the credit for. Forget about the 1 out of 5 years that they put in the end zone. This one was me. The other was the kids. All right. So I want to go over this because to me, let me hit share screen again. Yeah, here we go. All right, can you see that?
Yep.
All right, now, contact zone, all right, 20 or 25 yards away from the ball. I don't know what you guys describe as the contact zone, but we're not going to try to avoid once we get this far away from the returner, right? Do you guys use that term and concept?
Yes.
Okay.
And we're 15 yards.
You're 15 yards?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, here's how I coached it. All right. We're going to engage him, push him, and we're going to stay engaged and drive him back. Right. And then once we get there, if you see the guy on the top, okay, he's avoiding to the return side, which is one of our kickers. And this kid, of course, is wrong. He's only been through a meeting and everything else, but he's going the wrong way. But I want to go back because I changed this based on our kickoff return. If you stay on that block, you're not going to make the play. It's not going to happen. All the kickoff returns that we had success with, we've beaten every single one where he was locked up. So what we changed this to was initially we're going to engage and we're going to punch and create separation. And what our thought process was there was twofold. One, I'm not locked into a block and trying to shed, which is a whole nother issue. I'm also propelling him backward. So now that's going to force the returner to make a decision sooner than he wants to what gap he's going to hit. So for a 2-for-1, now again, this is 2019, and I've been coaching this shit for 36 years. And always working on that whole, we're going to avoid. Do you do the sideline drill, the avoid, and then the contact zone and shift them? And I mean, it's a good camp and spring practice drill. I got rid of it because it wasn't realistic. So we went to one day, right before the first week, we went to the same exact drill. And once they made contact right to that point, we were separating and getting our hands down and ready to play again. So we weren't playing with that guy. And I thought that was a great coaching point and understanding of what was happening. So we would do this our preseason camp. We had 3 different drills going. Or actually 4 drills.
So,
So
Coach, you're saying rather than punch, lock out, see him, tear,
Yep.
shrug, or whatever, you're saying just shock him, knock him back, and then run to the ball.
Exactly. Now I get my eyes back on the returner. The returner's got to get away from or because there's garbage in the river now. He's got to get around it, and I can make a play as opposed to you're locked in and you have to try to throw off. Now, I don't know how you guys coach kickoff return. We call it glue. We're going to glue the guy. So I'm just letting him make contact and I'm grabbing him and I'm just going to get inside or outside position based on the return. And I just want to stay with him. I want him on my body. He can knock me back. But as long as I have contact with him, he's not going to be able to throw me off and now go and make the play. There's too many long returns that we've had that demonstrated that. So, yes, it's right at this point here, we're going to make this contact right there. And now at that point, instead of rolling our hips and driving them back, we're going to shock them and extend and try to create separation.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Coach, I've got a question for you. We do something very similar to that on our own kickoff.
Uh-huh.
What's your thoughts with using your hands instead of your shoulder?
We're never going to use the shoulder. We're trying not to. Our kids will, especially since we're a leverage team. They're going to want to take in their in forearm and shoulder and come and take off. It comes down to the kid. Does the kid have the ability? If he wants to launch them, and we're going to talk Friday, right, Garrett, on linebacker play?
Yep.
So if you can get your hand into the sternum and get your shoulder underneath his chin, Matt, and you step with that inside foot and you can punch him through and create separation, hell yeah. I'm all for it. As long as I create that separation, I'm good. Because now I can move and my arms are going to follow. My feet are going to follow my arms.
Gotcha.
Instead of right here, which, realistically, he's using one hand and driving him back to maintain leverage and then cross face. So I think that's a great question. But yeah, everything's relative to whether it's Division III, whether it was 1AA, whether, Power 5, non-Power 5, it's the kids that you're working with relative to the players that they're playing against. And our kickoff coverage kids weren't going to blast the kids from Texas A&M, Auburn, and those people. So, yeah, we're, basically the fundamental drills translate into how does that person adapt to a winnable situation, if that makes sense. That's kind of, you would much rather give a plus for a tackle and a minus on technique than a plus on technique and a minus for a missed tackle, right? That's kind of always been.
No doubt.
I've talked to these guys back to that same question. I'm big on using your hands and not your shoulder. I think when you use your shoulder, you lose control and you can take yourself out of it by getting out of control. And your hands to strike or shock, right? You have control. You're controlling the block. And I've gotten away from telling our kids to play. And we used to, when you used to get the double team kicks and all that stuff on the perimeter, when they kick out the 2 with 2 guys, we'd stab the edge, near arm, near shoulder to kind of edge. But they've gotten away from doing that. There's still times where might have an old lineman back there who's kicking out the 2, and that guy's a bigger body. You need to stab an edge just to establish an edge to the defense. But for the interior guys, I want them working with their hands. I think in football in general, I think the players have gotten away from playing with their hands, and the better they are at hand combat, the better they're going to be. So that's all we really try to talk about is use your hands, strike, maintain control of the block. don't let them control you.
I agree 100% with you, Eddie, except this point. This is full velocity, 30-yard running start. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm a linebacker that's got a 4-yard difference between an offensive lineman and we're making contact in a 2-yard box.
Right.
If I tried to get my kids to do that, regardless of how I taught it, if they wanted to be technique sound and say, Coach, I got it right, they're going to start to throttle down and try to fit in. So I agree 100% with hat and hands and progression teaching to do that. But in this play, I just think that I want carnage. I want you to blow that fucker all the way up. I want to see his helmet in the stands. I want to see dust in the ground, and I want to see the ball there. And if I can't coach it that way, and I tried to like you said, hat and hands and everything else, I'm going to get the opposite of that.
Right.
And so that's kind of how is it applicable to a particular play. So on this, again, we're riding it, we're holding it up, and we're not going. I'm not shot in the ass on that play. All right, let me get this out. All right, let me keep this one here. That's the smart spot. All right, you're gonna enjoy this one because it gives me agita every freaking time I watch it. Share screen. Okay, is that big enough for you guys? You want me to make it?
No, that's great.
Okay, so now here's our avoid drill. And this used to drive me nuts. Okay, so I had an advantage to all of you guys pretty much. KK, I don't know how much you work on the field with another position, but I got to do all this stuff, planning this stuff by myself. You know what I mean? I didn't have another position. So it would have meant putting it in the spring and getting it, which is okay. But again, the strong side was going to be an outside leverage team. They were the shade concept of the defense. And the fast side was going to be the inside shade, or, again, I don't know how much defense you guys have had, but back in the day, it used to be a shade and slant from the field into the boundary, or you would call angle and you were shaded to the field and brought the people back from the boundary. So this is inside leverage from the field, outside leverage into the boundary, 6-2 defense. So we're going to avoid, if we're going to avoid, we're going to avoid. If we're going to make contact, it goes right to what Ed said, in that we want to have our inside arm controlling the blocker and our outside arm free. And we were going to force everything back to the inside. If they tried to bounce to the outside, I had my arm free. So here's the front line, and we're just working on non-contact zone, okay, which we call the speed and read zone. We're avoiding the blocker as he turns to look to the inside. And a lot of, go to his butt side. Isn't that what a lot of people, I had heard that. Okay, I never used that terminology, but go to his butt side. So if that works for you. So I'm getting blocked. He's trying to get on my outside. I'm not going to let it happen. I'm in the speed and read zone. So I'm going to avoid. I'm not going to just run over here, but that's the drill. You know, that's what we're trying to teach. Don't get caught to the inside when you're the strong side coverage team. Now, you're getting me fired up because I have so many bad memories of this. It drives me out of my freaking mind. Okay, here's the deal. Here's the concept. If you can't handle it, I'm going to give you my left hand, which is 6 weeks in the hospital. And if you do it again, I'm going to hit you with my right hand, and that's going to be sudden death. And that's what I tell these kids. 6 weeks, sudden death. Your job is to stay inside the guy that's lining up on your outside. That's your job. That's all you have to do. Stay inside him. Do not let him get on your left shoulder. That's the only job. That Nothing else. I don't care what happens after there. Do not let that guy on your other side. Okay. So this group, okay, not so bad, but they're first day of camp and everything else. But we set it up. We're getting flattened, but it's the first day and they don't do it the right way. Let me see if I cut this out or if I put it in here just to get it wound up. Okay. I didn't put it on for you. Good. That means I'm not going to lose my mind. All right. How I can't tell you again. We were an SEC team. We had good players. I can't tell you how many guys in a game, because it's the path of least resistance right there where number 29 is. He would go this way and stay to the right-hand side. I can't tell you how many. He would stay to the outside. So now I have a 3. This is 3, 4, and 5. The strong 3, 4, and 5. And Matt Luke or Hugh Freeze would come to me and say, why can't Johnny Jones? Why isn't he on the kickoff team? So I would pull this clip and I would say, because he can't stay the fuck inside. That's why. He's not smart enough to stay inside. And who are you going to yell at when he stays to the outside and there's a gap in the thing, and now you're asking your kicker to make the tackle? That's why. That's why Johnny Jones isn't playing on the kickoff coverage team, because he can't stay inside. I don't think the concept is that difficult. I'm not a smart guy. Okay, so if I can understand it, the expectation is that anybody outside over the age of 5 should be able to handle it. All right, so that was that drill. Now, here's what I wanted to have a discussion with you guys. Let me get it small because I know I got to share the screen. Okay, where's my screen share? There we go. All right, now. Oh, tell me I got the wrong one. I'm sorry about that. That's not what I was looking for. Split the double team. This is it. All right, here we go. Share the screen. You guys can feel free to give me a clap anytime that I don't completely screw this up, lose you, and put the film in, East Jabib. All right. Taking on a double team. All right. All right. So this was set up the outside guy to gain separation because they can't stay shoulder to shoulder, and we're going to go to split the double team. It was also, the thought process here was they just instituted last year in 2019, you can't have shoulder to shoulder double teams, right? And that's still the rule, I believe.
Correct.
They're all full of shit. They're I don't know the guys that you're playing. You go against the guys that we were playing, and they were freaking shoulder to shoulder in the front end, and they're doubling the forward, and they were backside, and they were shoulder to shoulder, and they were double team kick out in the 3. And you could show it to whoever the head of the SEC officiating was and show them 17 times that they did it against their opponents, and we'll look for it. And son of a bitch, if they're not shoulder to shoulder, knocking the dog out of my kid. So the initial thought was, okay, set them up, get the separation even more, and get the split. So that's what I'm demonstrating here. And that's, how did you guys see? There's we're not even athletic at it. I'm not there. How about that fake? I don't know if you watched this an Ole Miss game yet, but that number 13 is Sam Williams. That defensive end had 2 sacks the other day, I guess. He would not play on our kickoff coverage team. Refused to play. I might get hurt. Okay. So go for the basketball team. Garrett, how do you handle the double team?
So is a little bit similar in that we would fake and try to split it a little bit, punch through the inside number of the guy opposite that you're faking through, and almost, I don't know how well we did it, but treat it like a D line would treat a double, which is extend, put my hip through the gap, and try to rip and split it.
Yep.
All in the wrong.
How about you, Eddie?
Like I said, I can't say that we had great clips of us actually executing that, but that was my thought process on it.
Yeah, we're gonna split it to outside. So if we can split it, that's your first option. You want to attack it, right? Get skinny squeeze. I think it's easier with the pin and the post and pin stuff now to split it. The 50-50 stuff was hard, but it's split it to outside. If we can't get it split, all right, we got to get outside. You can never work inside a double team. You got to work outside it.
Create a bigger angle.
Yeah,
Create a bigger alley when that happens.
you do, but if you go inside of what happens if your guys, again, if they're double teaming you, returns coming your way, and then the guy next to you who's inside you is trying to do his job by working over the top. If you go inside it, you end up getting picked. You pick him off, creating an even bigger alley. So we're gonna split it and work outside to open it up and let our backside guys play over the top and show up.
Yep. KK, how about you?
Similar to what Eddie said before, I know when I was a high school coach, I always had the guys split it down the middle. Then as I got to the college level, I realized kind of got to work more outside because, like Eddie was saying before, those gaps. And I know more at the high school level, I had some bigger players. We always could split it down the middle. We was at the Catholic League. But I know more in college, it definitely takes a little more technique than to split it down the middle.
How about you, Matt?
Yeah, similar to what everyone else is saying, where we'd stem the post guy and then split it right down the middle.
Yeah. And you were about 50-50, right? If you could get it. All right. So here's what I'm going to tell you my solution to it was. And it came out 75%. Say they're doubling the 4 up on the 35 or the 40. And they're doubling the 3, and starting the wedge and coming out. We lined up the 1 as a 4. So he was our safety into the boundary. So he's the strong one, but he's lining up at 4. So you big stupid fucks that are standing back there waiting to get it, we're running right 5 yards away from you and we're stopping. And we're going to make you chase us and we're going to come over the top and we're going to be a safety, but we're taking your 2 out with our safety. So 1 is over there. Then we get the double team and we go 2, 3, 4. So the 4 is lined up as the 3 spot, right? So they get their count. 4 is 3. Well, what do you want to do with your 4? Let them blow the thing up, right? So they get to line up and you just tell them to go blow that son of a gun up and take the inside man on the wedge. Now you've got the 2 coming down as a free shot player for that off returner, and you still have a free number 1. So we would try to get them by our movement to get the miscount. So it was either post kick, the twist would happen, or we would give them the pre-alignment, which I'll show you in a second. I know we're running out of time. We would shift so that we would get their count to be different. We wanted to get them to have the wrong picture one way or another. And you all know when you're coaching kickoff return, you're identifying players, right? You're, who's got 4, who's got 3, who's got 2, and if we're double teaming, we got to make the right thing. So we had the base fundamental, just like you all said, but I wasn't going to bang my head against the wall. I made you sit there, Coach Allen, and you had to watch every one of my games, and you had to figure out who my 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 were on both sides, so that you could tell your guys that if number 3, jersey number 3, lines up as 1, don't count him as number 1, count him as number 3, because that's where he's going to end up, whether post or shift, and then shift that all the way back and let that communication happen. And my belief was somebody was going to screw it up on the other side, because we screwed it up so many times on our own when we did it on kickoff return that I figured we had a better shot than slamming into that illegal double team. So that's my 2 cents on that one.
I agree. I think that's hard. You know, what we're looking at now is, you know, if they're doubling that 4 instead of putting the boundary 1 at the 4 spot and stopping and put the field 1 into the boundary 4 and they have
Yep.
cut back to the field, because now you pull all those guys away from the
Yeah.
That's what we do too.
Yeah. I'm all about all those things. Now, communicating that to your kids to get them to do the right thing. Okay. And here was my problem with moving my fast 1 to the strong side. He always got caught up in the middle of the field and we lost leverage. He was no longer that fill safety, deep 1/3 corner that was going to be able to fit it. Now I would put him as a 5 so he could still go away and have leverage, but I'm with you. Eddie, I think that's perfect. But those are really, to me, the 2 ways: pre-snap, and then shift, or post-snap twist, in order to get them off your back, as opposed to, unless you're just better than them. And I don't know about you guys, but I haven't been better than them since 2015. That was the last time. Either that or contact Coach Rip Consulting, LLC, and say, hey, do you got a kicker that can put the son of a bitch in the end zone and give me a chance to sleep the night before the game? So, all right, last thing, let me just hit this. Do I still have time, Garrett?
Yeah, you got all the time you want, Coach.
Okay, let me just show you, let me show you this one. All right, share screen. Go to here. All right, so now it's Thursday, and we're in complete polished day of all our special teams, right? We get to do every single one, and the coach is fired up. It's a big special teams day. It's a big special teams day. It's a big special teams day. I'm going to give you 15 minutes. And you're like, what the, I mean, come on, man. Come on. I got a fake field goal in. They're running muddle huddle. I got onsides. I got hands. I got kickoff. I got, they got 3 returners and what about the punt fake that you wanted and you're giving me this amount of time? So, and we don't want to run a lot because the kids don't want to run. So one of the things we did on Thursday was we set it up. Let me get this thing going first. Okay. We set it up to where they already went to the takeoff point and we gained, 20 yards. So we got full into the speed and read zone, and the return, the scout team was in position to go and just, here's what the finished part of it was. So we got to do our fits, and you can see the speed of the kids on the coverage team. Now this is on a Thursday. I mean, that's good speed, I think, for a Thursday fit, not contact kind of deal. And here it is on the other side. Okay. So now here's our coverage team. Okay. Ready, go. Ready, go. All right. So now this is the drop. There's the scout team setting the drop. Now you can see it's right. Shit. You guys are spoiled. You all got one of those, the clickers that you can go back and forth. I'm going to have to buy one. All right. But a pretty good job of avoiding into the boundary, okay, with the strong side right there. And a decent job. We have a twist to the field. There's our twist. The twist at the top. There's the scouts. There's our twist. There's our 4. He's coming inside. So that wasn't too bad. Okay. Scouts start out. There's the return. They saw it all on Tuesday. There's the double team that we were just talking about. That's Dawson Knox, the kid at Buffalo. That's his brother. Soft is his older brother in the NFL. Okay, leverage again, fast side, strong side, coming back across. So I thought that was a good thing that we had worked on. All right, let me get out of this one and show you contact zone. I had one other one that I wanted to show you. Avoid drill 40-45. Okay, share screen. You guys are pretty impressed with how fast I learned shit, aren't you? Garrett, you're supposed to say yes.
You're doing a great job, Coach.
All right. So now, a little bit later on in the season, we're not bringing the scout team from behind it and now setting up and then go. We're just bringing it and saying, go ahead, get yourselves lined up. I can move this over. Okay, so they're already down at the 35. They're coming back 5. There they go with a double team. There we go over the top. There we go, get out leveraged. Now you can't sleep on Thursday night because you suck and you're worried. And you leave it up to your second team and they kill you. All right, here's the last part I'm going to show you. And then I'll be done. Answer any questions or just to thank you for letting me talk to you and talk about kickoff coverage because it's Monday and my week has already been made by you letting me spend time with it. All right. So here's simple shift. Okay. Now they've got to get their count. They got to go from the front side all the way to the back side. If I get this moving. All right. Okay, pretty good takeoff. This right here, if we had guys in the booth, we would say we have the surprise onside, right?
Can you get the share screen?
Oh shit.
Jinx yourself.
I'm just talking to myself. All right. That's okay. I've watched this about 100 times. Let me get it bigger and go back. Because it's pretty cool. Can you guys still see that?
Yep, we got it.
Yep.
All right, let me go back to it. All right, so there's our shift. They have to make the count, right?
Can you show that one more time?
Yeah.
Again, you said you did that just based on where they were putting their doubles.
We did that where they were putting their doubles or just to confuse them. So on this one, we started out with the so you had 3, 2, 1, 5, 4, and just shift. And now they're right in their regular positions, and these guys have to make the counts. So they were counting the 3 as the 5, and they were counting the 5 as the 2.
Mm-hmm.
So, and honestly, I really believe that the kids like doing that stuff more than they like to just practice. It made it a little bit more fun. So we got a really good coverage or takeoff. But the point I was trying to make when talking to myself was this. Watch LSU. Okay, you see how they're starting to bail?
Mm-hmm.
I'm watching that on the sideline. So now we have a surprise onside opportunity because they're bailing out of there. By the time Luke would kick the ball, okay, they're going to be an extra 5 yards away. And we have people going this way. They got to plant and drive coming back. Okay, so this was back before we had this was when we had a pretty good player, a pretty good kicker. All right, now from an end zone standpoint, okay, they have the short guy right there. Communicate, they got to communicate who's what. There he is. You can see he's trying to point it out. So we got a free shot 2, and we got a free shot 5. We got a 5 falling on the ground, and they've got to make the decision. There's the 2, there's the 3. The 3 becomes a free shot player because they blew the count. So he's now saying, oh, shit, I'm supposed to block who? And he comes back across, and he misses him, and now our 2 has got a free shot. He takes care of him. We got a free shot player over here, and we got a free shot player at the top. So there's really no place to go. And I'd like to say that it was good coaching, but as we all know, it's good players. Okay, really good takeoff again. All right, we're putting it on the ground. It's right before the half. And this is the one I showed you, the picture I had. Mm-hmm. And this picture is in the end zone shot. I mean, shit. I love when they, you guys suck. We're going to take it out when the ball's in the end zone. Okay. Now, sometimes they take it out and they're banging their head on the goalpost or on the 50-yard line. But, okay, so he lets it roll. That's the picture of my office. I mean, you can't get any, I don't know if you could get any better than that. So,
what was the reason for you guys being 5-5 that game versus the 6-4 look that you were in before?
To give them a different look that didn't do anything for us. I liked it. My first priority was what was the presentation to their return team that's different. That was the first priority. The second priority was don't fuck up our kids. And the third one was give them a little bit different look, whether it's a shift, whether it's an alignment. We went anywhere. We could go 55, strong left 55, where we put 5 into the boundary and 5 from splitting the numbers and the hash mark to the field. So we reduced the thing all the way down. And now, again, counts and leverage points was all we were trying to do. My last point is practicing this stuff and motivating guys that you need, but how do you get to them to be cannon fodder for a kickoff coverage team and that kind of thing. What I initiated is our scout team guys we called Joes. Okay, so you're just a regular Joe that's trying to play football in the SEC as a walk-on, and what do you get out of it? Well, you're a regular Joe. You're the lunch pail guy that Virginia Tech had, and everybody's got their kind of thing to help that. But we called them Joes, and the Joes were working to be on a kickoff coverage team at whenever we were ahead, that's when they got their varsity letter. And that's how they got to play. That was your reward. You got to play in the game, in a Division I game, like I never could, and you got your varsity letter. I had, in that 2015 game, I had 3 Joes starting on the kickoff coverage team when we played in the Sugar Bowl in the Superdome. I mean, here you are, Joes. And I don't know if you can see this shirt. This is the Showtime shirt. We called ourselves Showtime and, played up to that. So if you made a play or whatever you did, you got a shirt, get a shirt or get a piece of candy, whatever, or run the wave, whatever I can do to juice you up so that when you go to your position meeting and just because I wanted to have fun. So we gave the shirts. And if you were a Joe and you won a shirt, you won the Showtime shirt, and there's 5 different variations of them. We put on the back Joe. And that was, they loved it. Now, you come in the next preseason camp and they can't wait to talk to you. They say, Coach, I was walking down the beach and I hear, hey, Joe. And my name's Bill. Hey, Joe. And he said, Coach, I don't know. So I get tapped on the back. He said, hey, Joe, I like your shirt. And he didn't realize, oh, that's right. I got Joe on the back of my shirt. So now, wanted to change it, put Joe in the front over here. No, Joe is forever for the next gig. When we go to Showtime shirts and win Joe's Showtime shirts, Joe goes on the back. You're just a regular Joe. Now, is there anything I can answer for you guys? Any questions? Any stories?
Coach, that's awesome. I actually got to take off here, so I just want to say thanks for sharing your stuff with us.
Thank you. Let me know if there's anything else we could do to help you.
Yep. Thanks, Garrett. See you guys.
Yep, no problem. I guess one question in terms of leveraging the ball. Do you talk all in terms of inside and in front and all that stuff, or do you have guys who take a shot and try to spill the football?
We would game plan a guy that could do that. But basically, if you're to the kick side, you're keeping the ball on your right shoulder. If you're the fast side, you're keeping the ball on your inside shoulder. And it can't pass you by. That was the only thing that we told them. You're shade to the field and you're an inside leverage player from the field. Gotcha. Shaded to the boundary. So we were, and you had to work on that. I mean, who can you trust? To me, the 2 most important players, well, 3. I got to go 3. One was our fast 5. Okay. He was the guy that was going to just blow shit up. And you saw every play that we had that I showed you that was inside the 20. He was a 5'8", 175-pound, 4'3", 4'4" kid. And he lined up right in the middle of our kickoff coverage, and they had to block him. They had to have a guard, they had to have a center, they had to have a back, and we covered him with the other 5. So we took our 6'2", and we made it a 6'1", one with a penetrator, one with a reader. Mm-hmm. So he could go anywhere and make the ball go, wherever that was going to be. The field 2 had to keep the ball inside. You can't give up the field when you're kicking off a hash. You can't give anything more. That kid can't get outside the post to the field. It can't happen. If he does, they're going to bang their head on the goalpost. And I needed that backside 1, and my thing to them was, you let me sleep at night, because you were the guy that was going to get him on the ground before he banged his head on the goalpost. So he was my most important, that was going to be a true starting corner. That was going to be DK Metcalf, which you saw the other night. He was our starting field 1, because he was going to chase that guy down back in 2017, 2018. He was going to get it on. I could sleep at night because they weren't going to score a touchdown, because DK Metcalf was going to get the guy on the ground, even if it was on the 1-yard line. So those were the rest of them, go make a play, tough guy, all those other things, and then do everything in your power. And I did, and I failed to get a kicker to put the ball in the end zone and not have to worry about it. Just get the son of a bitch out of there. I brought in 4 different kids, 2 JUCOs, 2 high school kids that on video were all putting the ball out of the end zone. The one JUCO kid put 2 out of bounds against Missouri, and we lost by 3. 2. So instead of them banging their head on the goalpost, the son of a bitches are starting on the 35. So maybe that's why I'm doing the job that I'm doing right now. I don't know. I did have hair. Oh,
I guess one more too. In terms of the depth of your twists, how do you
Yep.
determine that? Was that yard line? Was that
yeah.
when the blockers, stop their feet? What do you
Well,
do?
we would say that we would start the twist at the 40 and that on the opposing 40. And then we would come over the top unless we were getting short dropped. If they were going to try to set up the double team at the 45, take that 5-yard drop and then sit here and try to set the double team. But we probably wouldn't run the twist at that point. Again, we used the hell out of our ones. We did as much as we possibly could to bait and switch with the one who was going to be back anyway. And, those double team guys, they're usually not the smartest guys on the team. They're not. They're two rockheads that are going to sit there and count 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to go and beat the shit out of this guy. I mean, okay, here, count to him. That's the guy. But to answer your question seriously, our base concept was we would start it at the 40-yard line, on the plus 40-yard line, going down. And that's where we had to bait them into not, okay, you start too soon, Garrett. They let it go. They can smell a rat, especially if you've done it if that's part of your portfolio.
Right.
Then you go to shifts. It's the same final. Give them a different picture each time. Make that guy, because you don't have the time. And I was, again, selfishly, every game that my opponent played, I knew every single person that played every single position in every single game. I had their numbers so that I could figure out what was going in, what was happening. You guys don't have that time. Prior to that, I didn't have that time. So when you do have that time, now you can get more creative with confidence. But on the kickoff, and the kickoff return thing is the same deal. You got to figure out teams that are going to twist, like Eddie was saying, he's going to put his one on the other side. Well, if you're not doing a good enough film study on it, your kids are going to get screwed come Saturday. You got to know that, and you can tell them. And then we go back to the discussion the other day was, is it positive to have the notebook on the sideline or not? I'm having my notebook on the side because I'm going to have, if they ever showed it, here's what it is. And now you can describe it to the kid. Here it is on paper because you're not, And I've always been that way. I've always been a paper guy, coaching linebackers at Syracuse. I always had the run diagrams in my back pocket. Here's what we're seeing right now, or what's the adjustment to this? What are they doing so they could see it, as opposed to in the heat of the game having a discussion. I wasn't always blessed with those kind of kids. Keith Bullock did not want to, elaborate or give me a dissertation on what was happening. Okay, I get that. That's right. You saw that on Thursday, Keith. This is what you saw. That's what you're seeing now. Oh, okay. So now they got computers. You guys all got computers, right? UConn spends big money. Every kid on the sidelines got his iPad.
Yeah, now the high schools can use it on the sideline, which is awesome. They don't let us do that yet, though.
High schools are allowed to use them on the sideline?
They got TVs on the sideline. They come off the bench. Everything's right to their huddle. They can watch every series right on the sideline.
Yeah, my last year I coached high school football. They had huddle sideline. It was great to have for the players. It was awesome. It was really cool.
Really?
Yeah, it was awesome. It was a lot of fun. But the one thing that sucked about it, the kids get stuck on the bench watching replays if they had a big hit or an interception. Like, guys, this punt team is fourth down. Like, hurry your asses up.
It used to kill me when I'd be on the sideline and I'd be screaming into the booth, what did they do? And then finally somebody had enough guts to, from the up in the booth, say, hey, coach, just look at the scoreboard. You know, that's what they did. Go look at the scoreboard instead of yelling at me and asking me what's going on. Look at this. And from that point on, from 2011 all the way through, when I helped the defense, you know, identify things, and they're asking what happened, just look at the freaking scoreboard. It's right there. They're playing it again before you got to do anything else. But high school kids on the sideline, what's this world coming to? Chalk is out. You can't use chalk anymore. I mean, you know, diagram with your fingers.
That's why when they get to us, they have no idea how to make adjustments or do it.
Oh man. Well, Garrett, thank you very much for letting me talk. And guys, thanks for putting up with me for the last hour or so.
No, I appreciate you. That was awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And again, I got a bunch of film. I got a bunch of write-up stuff. Just let me know if I can help you with any of that drill stuff. I got it as much as I got a ton of stuff and would love to talk to you about it or share it with you. You know, back in the day, and you were probably even too young, was you guarded your playbook like it was, you know, a family heirloom. Now shit's all over the place. You know, I mean, it's crazy, but I would be happy to share it with you or talk to you about it. I love kickoff coverage. It's, you know, it's kill the guy with the ball, and shitty players like me could have success and have fun with it.